This video is sponsored by .store domains.
Ben Stiller has a ritual. On the first day of shooting a new project, he gathers his crew for some words of encouragement. Then, he places a wine glass on the ground, and in Jewish wedding tradition, steps on it. It's for good luck. But on the first day of Zoolander 2, Ben stood on the glass, and something new happened. The shard sliced through his shoe and pierced his heel. No good luck this time. Ben knew it. Something bad was coming.
Please welcome Ben Stiller.
It's fantastic to be famous, isn't it?
He's quiet, thoughtful, a bit embarrassed by all the fuss.
It's, it has its advantages.
Ben Stiller is wildly funny.
He's a comedy icon.
The comedic leading man in America.
Very gifted man.
Actor, director, and a producer.
He's graced the screen for more than 3 decades.
And you jerk it out.
And time goes by so quickly, I tend to kind of like disappear into my work.
You've worked really very hard. It seems you've put in a lot of hours making films. Has it been worth it?
When you're young, you're just kind of doing your thing and you don't even know what it is that's sort of driving you. Or I started working before I even knew why I was doing it. I just had this instinct to do it.
But is comedy your preference?
Well, I mean, it just sort of, it's been my sort of focus recently.
People have a preconception when you do comedies of, they're used to seeing you in a certain context.
We like you as that guy.
Right. And that you have to accept that. You have to know that that's a reality.
Derek Zoolander.
It's a measure of Stiller's versatility that he often writes and directs his own material, like Zoolander.
Well, it's a cult favorite. It's sort of, it never was like the big giant hit.
Will you have trouble making Zoolander 2?
Enough people, I think, are interested in seeing another one.
I love Zoolander.
Thank you for the smatter.
Will there be a Zoolander 2, man?
That's the big question.
Everyone,
That's the big question.
Is it going to happen? I know, there's...
Possibly.
You don't want to let down the fans of the first movie. That's the biggest thing.
What are you doing? And, you got to kind of just go with your best shot and go with your gut and hope that the fans enjoy it.
Wait a minute, something doesn't quite feel right.
Actress and comedian Ann Mira has died.
Tonight we remember a beloved star of stage and screen who passed away this weekend.
She rose to fame with her husband, Jerry Stiller, but also enjoyed great success on her own.
How do you do?
Her also famous husband and son, Jerry and Ben Stiller, announced her passing in a statement to the Associated Press.
Well, I mean, I'm a Nepo Baby. I grew up around show business. I remember seeing my parents on television when I was, probably, I don't know, very little.
Oh, Joey.
Like my parents were a comedy team, Stiller and Mira.
And what they did as a comedy team broke out on Ed Sullivan. And when that happened, when they started to have success on the show, their comedy team became, their identity.
29 fun-filled cavities.
They were constantly having to work because they weren't super rich or anything. There was a lot of laughing and a lot of fun, but it was also a lot of feeling the stress of, what they had to do to make ends meet, really.
You were without your parents a good deal of the time.
Yeah. My parents would go away for like a 2-week stint to LA to do whichever show, game show or Love Boat or whatever it was. There was a lot of anxiousness, I think, or kind of fear of being alone.
They were always, doing their best, and it always felt it always felt like we were connected.
That was incredible to be in that family because that was so exciting what they were doing to me and my sister. And I think I was drawn to that.
I really never thought of doing anything else.
You always wanted to be a director.
Director since I was about 9 or 10.
Benji, your mother says that she'd like you maybe to grow up to be a big producer, and then you could give her and your dad starring roles. Would you hire these two?
No.
That passion is something that, for me, I feel like I got from my folks.
Well, I would hire
hire somebody else.
Why?
It'd be hard to work with you.
So much for your career.
See that? See that?
Thanks a lot, pal. Boy, the bigger they are, the nicer they are.
And when I was a kid, I was like, I'm not going to do what my parents do. I'm not going to do comedy. I'm going to be a serious filmmaker.
Ben Stiller wanted to be taken seriously, not just seen as a funny kid. The thing is, names shape perception. Names for people and domain names for a creative business. If you're selling something online, a .store domain tells people it's a store. No guesses, no wondering. You only get one first impression. And your name plus a .store domain is the clarity anyone checking out your stuff needs. In order for your link to get a bunch more eyes and a ton of extra clicks. Because people know it's your store on the very first look. It also just looks so cool. Admire that for a second. And I'm not alone. The best in the world trust and use .store for their official stores. That's not for no reason. Simply search for your chosen .store domain wherever you buy domains. Grab yours before someone else does. Head to the link in the description and use my code to unlock a special discount.
I feel like I had a bunch of little breaks that led to a bigger break. I got a chance to be on Saturday Night Live in 1988, I think.
Please welcome Mike Myers and Ben Stiller. Hi, boys. Thank you, Dennis.
I knew very quickly that I wasn't going to do well there because I wasn't great at live performing. I was there like 6 weeks.
Ben Stiller started as a subversive stand-up comic, eventually landing his own TV show.
Ben Stiller, it's Ben. We only did 13 shows. It was a show that was on, just for people who know about, it was on in 1992.
Yeah. And that got canceled, but then somebody saw some of those sketches and Danny DeVito's production company, and they were making a movie called Reality Bites.
Reality Bites, rated PG-13.
And we made that movie, so that was my first movie that I ever directed.
Do people defer to your every whim now? I mean, is it everything you expected it to be and more?
Now your second picture. Here you are, Jim Perry, the cable guy.
There's something about Mary.
What is that?
So much to talk about. Yes, we're so happy for you. Everything's going great. Thank you.
Zoolander.
Zoolander is fabulous. A great funny film. I love Zoolander.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
You're Derek Zoolander.
Perhaps a sequel coming down the pike anytime soon?
We're back.
Well, 15 years is a long time between movies, but that's how long it's taken to finally get a sequel to Zoolander.
Well, big sigh, I'm afraid.
Zoolander 2 takes the jokes from the original and recycles them with a few minor tweaks, and the resulting film never quite hits the high notes of its predecessor.
I was just thinking, why isn't this funny? And believe me, I went in wanting it to be funny.
I was disappointed. I really do admire Ben Stiller. Tropic Thunder was a terrific movie. This one isn't.
Eric? Hey, Hansel.
This movie is a very early contender for me for worst movie of the year.
Look at this shit. You actually, when you say this, is Ben Stiller okay? Like, is he all right?
Is his wife leaving and the kids? She's taking the kids?
What kind of need for attention, what kind of cry for attention is Ben Stiller needing to do this shit right here?
Zoolander 2 came out and it didn't do as well as you thought it might, and you're like, what am I supposed to be doing?
It's really hard to tell what's going to work and what's not going to work.
And when it's great, it's so great. And when it's not great, it sucks. When I go through a failure, you know, that doesn't feel great, like it really made me ask questions of myself. Like, why am I doing this? What's important to me?
It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
There are moments you realize your entire life's work is absurd, and you have nothing to show for it. There's a point where you work it, but then you also have to also then be able to step back and go, okay, I can only control so much.
Life happens, I guess, huh?
Life is other plans.
Yeah.
Life is what happens when you're making other plans.
I had prostate cancer a couple of years ago.
You had like advanced prostate cancer that you found out about and had to have surgery for. Did that make you think about your mortality?
Oh my God, yeah.
It was very scary.
When you get a diagnosis like that, everything stops.
Boom, stop. You know what I mean? Everything.
All your plans, all your thoughts, my job, it's like all of it's like, wait a minute.
You don't know if you're going to be alive in, 6 months if you don't, if this doesn't get dealt with.
This is something that could change everything.
It's like your worst fear. One of the main things I felt was I was really lucky as I learned more about prostate cancer. I learned that, I was someone who had, a case that could be treated.
It was scary, definitely scary. Nothing like the feeling of relief when you get the call from the doctor, hey, the blood test came back, your PSA is 0, you're cancer-free, and you want to hold on to that feeling. For me, I think it's 11 years now. My joy comes from working and being creative, but sharing that with my family, and like going home and not having anybody to share that with. I've had that.
Your dad was an amazing guy. I mean, as famous as he got, he always stayed married to your mother.
Yes, they've been married for like 46 years.
It's a very successful marriage.
And it's very intimidating because then you have that to live up to when you think about getting married.
Presumably going great for you.
I'm enjoying it. I'm happily married, got a kid.
Ben's wife, Christine Taylor, is probably best known as Marsha in the Brady Bunch film.
We should mate.
What?
Date. I said we should date sometime, socially. Go out and kick it.
I think I had a little bit of a fear of,
It's impressive.
maybe subconsciously, of working together, affecting our relationship in a not good way.
We got married very quickly after meeting each other.
I only knew my wife for a couple months before we got married.
We knew each other 6 months, got engaged, we were married within a year, and then had Ella the next year.
It just changes when you have kids, because everything becomes focused around them.
We had our first child, and it was very clear we had different ideas of parenting. And it was on top of that, you were working so much.
You're a workaholic. Did you not consider yourself a workaholic?
Definitely. Work is definitely a drug. And workaholism is a real thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I do. I enjoy that.
There was a blind spot for me. My relationship with my work, it became very important to me, and probably out of balance with really attending to all the relationships in my life.
Ben and I both sort of started to grow in different directions.
Hi, well, on a serious note, it looks like once again love is officially dead. Oh no. Who now?
Ben Stiller and his wife, we found out last week that they're separating after 17 years of marriage, which is really sad.
I found myself at a place in my life where things weren't really in sync.
Yeah, look, I don't really drink, but my family just left me and I got fired.
Things in my life were not working out at all. You can take what you do and use it as a way to help yourself work through stuff. And I actually think that that's a lot of what art is and creativity is.
Sometimes it's harder to go in a direction where people don't necessarily see you.
Yeah, because your identity. I think just as a creative person, if you're not doing something you haven't done before, in some way, then you're not moving forward.
If something feels too familiar, then you go, why am I doing this? What's interesting to me? What do I want to be doing? I think for me, honestly, it probably came down to escape at Dannemora.
Every time I look out the window on the Taylor show and I see the town, I see myself out there.
True story that wasn't a comedy, and I wasn't in it.
We can drop into the basement from back there.
And I was the first thing I directed that I wasn't in.
Standing in the street, I got it to the point now where I can can see my own fucking shadow. I'm fucking done here, man.
Although Stiller, at 52, has directed in the past, this marks the first time he's taken on the job exclusively.
It was such a personal breakthrough for me because I was so happy.
What do you need? So tell me what the fuck you got going on. Axle blades. We're busting the fuck out of here. We did it, bro.
You have to have a certain amount of selfishness as a creative person.
You know, I think I tend to kind of like disappear into my work.
There were so many times when I didn't want to really deal with going into that stuff. Like somebody's going through life, you have to kind of like put up the deflector shields, right? Sometimes you're just trying to survive, just like literally just try to get through the next day.
The line is really blurred between, okay, well, how much am I expressing myself here and how much am I disappearing into this or escaping from real life?
But then there's always the painful parts of life that I think we all fantasize about forgetting. What can you forget? You know, what can you suppress?
Do you think you'll go back to TV? Because I know you're working on some film projects now.
I would like to go back to television. I'd like to produce a TV show with, you know, for somebody who's really funny. Or I don't think I'd want to act in a series right now.
It all started with a script that Dan wrote.
Dan Erickson. It was a script that got sent to our production company, a spec script, and he had never had anything produced.
It reminded me of these workplace comedies that I really love, and yet it was in this weird world, and that to me was the kind of hook of it.
I met with him, and we were in sync. It was like, this could be great.
For me, it was one of those things too, where it just felt like, okay, yes, let's make this.
We were about 6 weeks out from shooting. It's March.
And then all of a sudden, it was like a show about, you know, isolation.
You know, maybe we should just forget everything and go home.
It is about memory, and it's about identity, and it's about grief.
That's my dad.
Oh, hi, Dad.
Nice to meet you, Lila.
All right, very sad news this morning.
Actor Jerry Stiller has died.
His son, Ben Stiller,
Tweeted overnight that his father died of natural causes and he will be greatly missed.
My dad passed away. It was May of 2020, and that was, of course, sad. And how do you deal with that, you know, as losing a parent? But it happened. He had been declining for a while.
I was fortunate enough that he could be at home, so I'm really grateful for that.
He was, the other thing was he was just such an incredibly generous person. He really had this spirit about him.
Do you feel physically different without your dad in the world?
It's sad. It's definitely sad.
You look good.
I'm not used to the fact that he's not there yet.
I'm sorry.
If I'm honest, you know. I know that having lost my mom 5 years ago, it's something that you just that stays with you. You know, that thing of like, wow, they're still gone. They're still gone. You know, so when someone dies, that's it. And there's a finality to it.
I miss them, and still I'm trying to figure out how to deal with it.
It was like, okay, I'm going to look at this guy who, you know, I've had so many feelings about my whole life, and judgments on as a son too, like, well, you should do this or you shouldn't have done that, but yet he had this 62-year marriage.
Happy anniversary, that's all.
They stayed together. They never separated. They never divorced.
Oh, yeah. Happy anniversary.
Maybe just the question I would ask them both was like, what was it that why did you stay together? What was it that kept you guys together when in the toughest times? Was it ever a question?
When you're younger, you think, okay, I'm gonna do everything better.
You were without your parents a good deal of the time.
You weren't even there when either of them were born, so don't try to make yourself father of the year.
I'm not gonna make that mistake. I'm not gonna make that mistake.
But that perfectionism is something your dad had as well.
100%, yeah. Almost all the time, I feel like he was in his head, which, I really identify with.
But then how do you balance that with being there for your family?
And then you had kids, and you ended up repeating the pattern of your parents with your kids.
I did, yeah. So I didn't understand that I was actually doing the same thing.
I wasn't there a lot of the time.
My kids were very honest with me, about times when my work I put my work in front of the family.
I keep looking at him through the lens of how my parents raised me, when in reality, he's his own person.
I thought I was doing so much better than my parents. I thought I was pulling it off. I was flying home on the weekends and having special places for the kids to play when they come visit the set. But in reality, and just hearing them talk about it, for them, it was the same thing I was going through as a kid. And I just couldn't see that at all at the time.
That became challenging because for Ben, who was off working.
Let's get to what you've been doing over this past week.
Well, I've just been working a lot.
Mom and the two kids, we were this triangle, and then you would come back and we'd have to recreate the square again. And when we made the decision to separate, I feel like we needed just some time to figure that out.
We fight all the time.
Yeah, we have
it's a religious right. We fight, we argue, and the main thing to get along, though, is to listen to each other.
That's right. And
I always...
We made the decision when lockdown happened that we were going to all stay in our house together when we hadn't been living together. And then for a year, we were in the house together, but we weren't really a couple together.
Right. When we separated, it was really a moment for Ben to step in, and you started to develop I think a very strong bond with Ella during that period of time.
You have to be present for a relationship and be available.
I better get going now.
I don't think I was as evolved, not that I'm super evolved now, but I'm more evolved than I was.
What is the one thing that made it work for you, our marriage?
I had you.
You had me.
Basically, we're just very lucky to have one another at this point.
I never stopped thinking about you.
I let everything get out of control, and I shouldn't have.
Ben Stiller and Christine Taylor have rekindled their marriage after having been separated for 5 years.
When we came back together was, I think we'd both done work on ourselves on some level that was important so that we could be together.
Now, every day that we're together, we do not take for granted.
Yes.
At least I know I don't, and because it could go away.
It's kind of hard to know where reality ends and severance begins.
Come on. I have, of my own free accord, elected to undergo the procedure, colloquially known as severance.
Just a guy who's literally going into work, getting in an elevator and going down a few floors and then going to another floor, but he's in a totally different world and different consciousness.
Yeah. But they don't know who they are, they don't know why they're there, and they don't know what they're doing.
I just want to know why. Why he put me in there.
He lost his wife. You lost your wife. A little before you started at Lumen.
Gemma.
We all have when you lose people you love, where you just don't know what to do, and how to hold those feelings, what to do with them.
I think that the loss that Audi Mark is feeling and reacting to is something that I think everybody can relate to.
She was just still in your veins, making everything hurt.
You had to deal with Gemma's passing in the way that was best for you.
Let not weakness live in your veins. Cherished workers, drown it inside you.
Rise up from your deathbed and sally forth.
Which is why I guess you thought a severed job would
I want the pain to be over.
He hoped you'd be spared from the pain.
It's kind of a fantasy. It's an escape from reality. You're trying to create a reality that, you know, that you can believe and fall into.
We experience things, we can try not to remember them, but something inside of us is going to feel it.
Ultimately, like, you watch a show because you want to feel something, you want to be emotionally connected.
When something hits me on an emotional level, moves me, makes me feel connected to the world or to other people in some way, that's what it's all about.
I mean, honestly, I've been thinking about just reality in general. Just thinking about how time goes by.
You know, as I go along in life, I try to appreciate the good things.
I see trees of green.
And the, you know, how fortunate I've been to be able to do what I love to do.
I see they move.
And I feel like I've always just been a late starter.
For me, I'm still trying to find my voice, I think.
I'm trying to make movies to figure out the truth.
Even at this late age, to tell you the truth.
What a one.
I'm trying to figure things out right now, okay?
I'm still just trying to figure out, well, what do I really want to do? How do I want to get closer to expressing myself?
Skies of blue.
For me as a filmmaker and a director, I feel like I have so much to explore and learn, and it's so exciting to me to think about that.
The dark, sacred night.
I just hope, you know, in 10 years, 20 years, I still have my faculties and I can enjoy the people I love.
What a wonderful world.
And asking these questions of why we're here and what is it all about, and connect with people in some way through the creativity.
I think I got it figured out. It's doing what you love, isn't it? With people you love.
Yes, there have been times when I felt out of balance. Personally, relationships, marriage, work relationships, all of those.
I feel like also as you get older, it's sort of like, how much of my life do I want to spend worrying about
Walter Mitty, Severance package.
what other people think?
Honestly, like, I feel like life is about trying to find that balance, and at first you have to be aware that you're out of balance.
Right now I'm feeling like, I know what I'm feeling, and it's not
an awareness of like, wait a minute, something doesn't quite feel right. I want to try to fix that.
Whatever this life is,
I want to experience my life, the life that I have left to live, right?
So I don't want to forget what I'm doing, you know, when I go away from it.
it's all we have.
Because like we're here for not so long. Like I want to feel it all.
Well, that's the big part of it, enjoying your life.